Today, the Virginia State Supreme Court struck down the congressional redistricting approved by Virginia voters 17 days ago. It is a big blow to democracy as voters there opted for this new map. But it's also a blow to the Democratic Party ahead of the 2026 midterms as they seek to counter the GOP efforts to gerrymander themselves in a victory at the behest of Donald Trump. In a statement, Virginia's Attorney General Jay Jones said this, quote, "Today, the Supreme Court of Virginia has chosen to put politics over the rule of law. This decision silences the voices of the millions of Virginians who cast their ballots in every corner of the Commonwealth. And it fuels the growing fears across our nation about the state of our democracy. My team is carefully reviewing this unprecedented order, and we are evaluating every legal pathway forward to defend the will of the people and protect the integrity of Virginia's elections."
It's Ken Harbaugh with the MeidasTouch Network. You've heard by now about the Virginia Supreme Court ruling. It was pure partisanship. 4 conservative judges voting to throw out the results of the recent referendum. That majority decision made it a point to describe the narrowness of the popular vote approving the new district maps, writing, "The majority will of the people was secured by yes voters representing 1.69% of the total votes cast." Yeah, it was a close vote, but that's how democracy sometimes works. And in that entire majority opinion, not one of those judges voting against the will of Virginians saw the irony in their opinion nullifying millions of votes. Their 4-3 partisan ruling meant that the fate of Virginia's popular referendum came down to a single unelected judge. The cynicism in calling the narrowness of a popular vote, then overruling it with one vote is astounding. Contrast how Democrats approached redistricting with how Republicans are doing it. Not a single referendum, just partisan legislatures ramming through new maps against the will of the people. They're doing it in Tennessee, Florida, Missouri, North Carolina, Texas. Meanwhile, the will of Virginians, actual voters, is nullified by 4 unelected partisan judges. I spoke with Dan Helmer about this. He's an Army vet, a delegate in the Virginia House, and one of the lead architects of the redistricting effort. And while Democrats and democracy may have lost this battle in Virginia, the larger fight to save democracy in America is far from over. Here's me and Dan Helmer. Dan Helmer, thanks so much for joining us. I wish it were under better circumstances, but the Virginia Supreme Court just overruled the will of the people. I mean, this decision in Virginia wasn't like what the Republican states are doing, where they are cramming it through their legislatures. This was a popular vote that redistricted the state to provide these new districts, and the Supreme Court said, no, we're going to do it our way. Bring us up to speed.
Yeah, I mean, Ken, you got it exactly right. The difference between us and the MAGA movement is we believe in democracy and the will of the people. And unlike in Texas and Ohio and Florida, we actually put this to the voters. We followed the process laid out in our Constitution. Voters said, yes, we need to fight back. We need to level the playing field. And once again, MAGA went to the courts and they got from extreme unelected justices exactly the type of ruling that they've sought again and again. It's just insane. We have a president of the United States who is trying to go forward with unpopular policies like the war in Iran, like the big bullshit bill that he put forward that's gutting our rural health care. They're challenging abortion rights. The Supreme Court, we literally had a federal court that just took away the ability to send pills in the mail that would allow people to have abortion. And what do they do when these things are unpopular? Well, we think you should go to the people, and we've gone to the people, and the people have said exactly what they want, and MAGA isn't good with that, and so they use these extreme justices to overturn it.
Now, it was a close call. It was 4-3, I believe, in the Virginia Supreme Court. What was the rationale of the majority in this case? Slim majority.
Well, contrary to Virginia law, it's very clear when elections take place in Virginia. Elections happen on election day. That is the way in which everything about our election laws is crafted. So you file reports based on when election day happens. And our Constitution says if you pass a constitutional amendment prior to election day, you pass it again, it goes to the people. It's actually pretty simple. It gets added. We reviewed this, of course, before we went forward, had a thorough legal review, and they decided that contrary to the will of the people, they would overturn this. And frankly, there were lots of opportunities if they wanted to go this pathway to not have the people vote. And it is just insane. And it is just part of this ongoing pattern of Republicans not okay with the will of the people, doing whatever it takes to hold on to power.
Is there any recourse at this point? I mean, this was the Supreme Court of Virginia that delivered this ruling.
Yeah, there is the extreme U.S. Supreme Court, so I imagine we're going to take it there. But given that the extreme U.S. Supreme Court expedited its ruling in the Louisiana Voting Rights Act case to make sure that Louisiana could redistrict, showing their true colors, I'm not particularly optimistic that the U.S. Supreme Court would do the right thing and respect the will of the Virginia voters. But yes, there is recourse. We can go up there. We should go up there, I believe. It is all hands on deck to protect our democracy at this very challenging time.
We all saw what happened with the Louisiana case. Have you been following the cascade of proposals in the aftermath of the Voting Rights Act being gutted? And what do you make of the Republican tactics to, in almost every case, to not actually go to the people to find out what they want, but to cram these things through? But, we're looking at Alabama, we're looking at Mississippi, we're looking at Tennessee, right? Do you have a good sense of where the Republicans are trying to do this?
Yeah, they're trying to draw them all over the place. They've already gerrymandered it to a very narrow set of competitive districts. In August and September, when I was one of the people who laid out the blueprints in Virginia, the reason we did that is because we knew that this extreme attack on the Voting Rights Act was going to happen. And I have no regrets about us doing it here in Virginia. The real challenge is that we're seeing time and again that MAGA will stop at nothing on this front. And so, yes, we're seeing a cascading effect, and it is a real gut punch to America's democracy.
Hey everyone, it's Ken. Super quick break to remind you that I've got a Substack page. Please consider subscribing for exclusive content and bi-weekly Substack lives. And for the next month, every paid subscription goes towards my upcoming reporting trip to Ukraine. Thanks for the support. The link is below. Slava Ukraine. Is there potential for a backlash? We might see that in Texas, where the gerrymander might turn into a dummy mander. Is it possible that in states, and I say this as a kid who graduated from high school in Alabama, is it possible that in states like that are trying to create not just a Republican supermajority, but disenfranchise every black voter by not creating majority black districts, is there a possibility that the 9-point margin that they're engineering in these supposedly safe Republican seats will turn into liabilities, or is that wishful thinking?
I was campaigns chair for the House Democratic Caucus, and I expanded the map. We picked up 13 seats, including a number that Trump won this year, and that was in state legislative races, which are really tough. I'm personally going to be invested in making sure all of these cowards who refuse to stand up to Trump lose their offices wherever it is in the country. And so we should be looking at every single one of those districts and making them pay, because voters in Virginia, I'll tell you what, right now are real upset that their voices were just turned down by MAGA. I expect that we're going to go and use that energy to push back in Virginia, and maybe we won't get to 10-1, but maybe we can get to 8 or not even 9 seats in this unique moment. We're going to fight for every single one of them. I'm personally going to be out there fighting for it. We're going to fight all over the country for it. And we need to make sure that they pay. Every single American now knows their true colors. They will stop at nothing to enable this president to enact these deeply unpopular policies, all meant to help his billionaire buddies, and at deep cost to the average American as gas prices hit, extreme highs as we all struggle to. And we got farmers who are changing the crops they're planting because of the war in Iran. It's insane. Yeah,
is that the silver lining we should be looking for in this? The idea that the veil is off, that we now know the lengths that MAGA will go to, and we use that as rocket fuel to motivate Democratic voters? Because it's hard in this moment, in the days after this court ruling, to see any silver lining, but I want to find at least one.
Look, I think it's more important than ever that we elect fighting Democrats who care about delivering, and let's elect a new generation of leaders across America who are going to stand up for our democracy and our country. I think it's more important than ever.
Are there specific leaders you're thinking of? Are you going to be out campaigning? I mean, the map is going to be totally different in Virginia now. You've got a race that is now a giant question mark. Where do you go from here?
I have I'm the son of an immigrant. I'm the grandson of Holocaust survivors. I have always stood up and served our country, whether that was at West Point, serving in Iraq and Afghanistan, whether that was unseating a 17-year Republican incumbent, whether that was helping us achieve the largest Democratic majority in many of our lifetimes in Virginia. I'm never going to stop fighting for our country, and that right now means fighting to elect fighting Democrats who are going to deliver everywhere in America, and that's what I'm going to be focused on.
What would you advise other blue states in this moment as the Republicans put the pedal to the metal and disenfranchising black voters and gerrymandering to the extreme? What should Illinois be doing? What should, New Jersey and other states be doing right now?
Take note. They have taken the gloves off, and they are determined to ensure that the will of the people does not need to be respected. And Virginia has done all it can to do its duty. We're not going to stop. We're going to fight till there is nothing left to fight for. And I hope that every single person takes that to heart and makes the changes needed so that we can ensure we put a check on this extreme president and make sure that we deliver for the American people. I think it's both of those things.
Thanks, Dan. Great having you. Man, I feel like we're going to have this conversation again soon, because this has become the chessboard, this redistricting fight. And hats off to Virginia for giving it your best shot. But it's going to be other states that carry the torch from here. I appreciate you coming on with us. We're
going to keep lighting the torch all we can. Keep with the fight. Appreciate you having me, Ken.
Thanks, Dan.
Want to stay plugged in? Become a subscriber to our Substack at MeidasPlus.com. You'll get daily recaps from Ron Filipkowski, ad-free episodes of our podcast, and more exclusive content only available at MeidasPlus.com.